So yeah, this video is it's going to be a bit deeper and darker. Well, it depends how you look at it and darker. So trigger warnings there. Obviously it's about kind of them stages of mental health and stuff. But don't worry, it has a positive kind of ending as we go through it and stuff. But yeah, we all suffer with bad days and things like that, but sometimes it's a bit deeper and it's a bit more than that, isn't it? And some of us kind of get trapped in the cycle, and it can happen. It can be quite hard, and yeah, you know, despite what you hear in the media, oh, it's all fine, there's a mental health epidemic, it's all made up, you should just toughen up and stuff. I'd like to see these people saying this manage to go about an everyday life if they suffer so darkly and that. Anyway, that's just kind of where the video's going. I'm not going to make it too long or go too far into it and that. But you know, if you are one of them people, don't worry, you're not the only person. You're unwell, and you know there is help and that out there. And don't listen to idiots. Certainly don't listen to that man up nonsense. Sometimes it's tough, and it is. So yeah, we'll get started. We won't waffle. So probably the first kind of stage where you start to feel bad. I mean, it all hits us in different ways, doesn't it? Is what I call the brain fog, which is it's where everything's hazy. You can't concentrate, you can't think, you just don't want to be in places, or you stop wanting to be around people. You're kind of there but not there. Everything's just hazy, yeah, and nothing focuses, and things start to don't make sense, and things like that. That's what I kind of call this stage. What I've picked for that is Maison Violet's Pourpre d'automne. That's primarily because it's a very grey, cold, crisp fragrance. It's violet iris. There's touches of fruity notes in there. It's a bit of mimosa, so it starts off kind of brighter, and then it gradually gets kind of more and more grey and colder. The iris kind of cools it down. The violet's a little bit powdery, but also a kind of cool kind of feel. And obviously you get into it, there's a muskiness and a woodiness there, and it just becomes kind of grimmer and greyer. It's a very beautiful fragrance, by the way, but yeah, that's kind of what happens to it. And I think that just kind of represents the mind, where it's kind of starting to get a bit hazy and that, and then eventually, you know, it's all just fog, and you can't think or really see straight. So yeah, for brain fog is Pourpre d'automne from Maison Viole. Next is the self-loathing and the kind of disliking yourself and that. I think this can kind of hit, you know, at any stage, but it is this kind of what's wrong with me. I'm a failure. What am I doing with myself? What am I doing with my life? Why do I feel like this? Why do I feel so grim? I'm helpless. Why do I want to be here? Why would anyone want to be around me? Why would, you know, anyone want to speak to me or interact with me? I don't even want to be around me and stuff. You just kind of start to hate yourself, and I suppose the way the world is, you might start to feel a bit weak, and you know, I'm just being ridiculous, I'm just being pathetic and all of this, which is, of course, none of that's true, but it's how your brain feels and that, isn't it? It's where it takes you. So yeah, what I've picked for that is Amouage Interlude Woman, and this is because it's kind of a perfect one for that, because it is this kind of grim, but dark and smoky and mysterious and weird phase. It's a clash of lots of different notes and stuff. I think I've never really been able to describe it. It's kind of fruity, dark, a bit smoky, a bit incensey, a bit dark floral, obviously a bit musky. The weird kiwi in it, and it all comes together. And the immortelle can smell quite weird in it, and it all comes together from different directions, kind of bashing off each other, and it clashes. And I think that's where we are in our mind, aren't we? Our mind's fighting against us. It's trying to kind of get to us, and it confuses us, and you've got all these thoughts and feelings firing at once. I think it kind of merges to make what Interlude is. Sometimes you can snap out of it. I mean, sometimes I love the fragrance, sometimes it can sadly not work, and obviously when your feelings are all over like that, yeah, it can not work. So for kind of self-loathing, and that is Interlude Woman from Amouage. Next comes the despair, that kind of helpless pit you get stuck in, where you can't stop feeling awful, you can't stop feeling bad, and again you're hating yourself, you're hating the world, you can't see a way out of all of this, and it starts to weigh on you like a ton of bricks, and it starts to crush you, and you get a bit kind of, well, very down and very kind of broken, and again all you want to do is just escape it all or be on your own. You can have really dark thoughts, and you can just kind of, you just want to make it stop, you just want to make it better. And the reason I've gone for Angel Share from Kilian is because a lot of us, this probably would be the stage where you might self-medicate, you know, or self-harm is another way of looking at it. You start drinking, or worse, and this can sadly fuel addiction and things like that. It's not a good place, and it doesn't make you better. And bizarrely, we go for things that are actual depressants, don't we? Drinks and drugs and that. But yeah, Angel Share, we all know it. It's kind of a boozy brandy one, buddy and what have you. And again, I suppose that kind of booze stained wood, it's kind of very representative of it, because you've been there before, you know, it's not your first rodeo. The booze is already there, and the more you drink and stuff, it kind of lingers. And brandy would be my choice of poison there, shall we say. So yeah, I think Angel Share and that kind of despair goes together really well. Next becomes a sort of feeling of panic. You know, you're kind of getting through, but it is this is going to get worse, everything's going to get worse. Why am I like this? What do people think? And things like that. I'll come on to that in a bit in a minute. But this kind of panic that you've been here before, again you get stuck in it, you know how awful it's going to be. Everyone's, you know, not going to really understand, and you just panic, and anxiety can come through this, where you feel like you don't want to go anywhere. You're kind of sweating, your mouth's really dry, you're just worrying and worrying and worrying, and everything starts to play on your mind, that this is awful, how will I get out of this? There's these debts, there's this situation with my partner or my friends or whatever, and it just builds up, and the panic gets more and more. For that, I've picked obviously a coffee fragrance, because it's kind of what it does to you, and that's Coffee Cardamom from Lush, which is predominantly, it starts off with a huge kind of blast of, I think it's nutmeg and cardamom. It's quite a sharp, bitter, dark blast. And then there's a kind of chocolatey coffee that kind of goes through it all. But I think that initial bitterness, that initial kind of thing, and the bitterness runs through it, is very well representative. And obviously the coffee increases your heart rate and you know, if you're feeling like this, it's probably not the best thing to have really. So for panic is a coffee cardamom from Lush. Next is obviously, I mean, again, like I said, these were in no order. All these things can happen. Is that paranoia, which I touched on a bit before, where everyone's watching me, everyone's judging me. This is all going wrong. You know, my friends over there talking about me. My partner's cheating on me. They secretly hate me. My parents are ashamed of me. I'm going to lose my job. They hate me, and you know, all that sort of thing. Everything starts to get worse and worse and worse. You think that the worst things are going to happen. You know, your house is going to collapse. You know, all your money's gone, and how am I going to eat? And you just get this. It snowballs and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just get again similar into panic mode. And that, what I've gone for that is Noir de Noir. Why have I gone for that? Because it's quite a dark fragrance. There is the winey element to that as well, and that's where I'm going again with this, because again, when you get like this, you'll be drinking more, you'll be doing the sort of self-medication thing and that, and because Noir de Noir has this darkness, you know, that truffly, mushroomy, woody kind of feel to it, the patchouli, the kind of dark earth, like you're suffocating and trying to get out the earth, the rose having that kind of sweet touch of the kind of winey feel, and that it all comes together, and I think it kind of suits that paranoia, because it's about falling further down, isn't it, and being kind of suffocated by it all. So yeah, Noir de Noir for paranoia. And obviously all of this is going to lead to insomnia, or not being able to sleep, and that makes things worse again, because your mind never gets to rest. You know, ironically, but probably at the moment where I'm struggling to sleep and stuff, and it just makes the day way heavier on you, doesn't it? And you're up all night like, just thinking and thinking and panicking, and then the days you're like a zombie, but you still get that panic, and yeah, again you're exhausted, but what can you do about it? It just keeps getting worse and worse, because you cannot rest, you won't let yourself rest, because your mind will not switch off. And that, I think we all know what insomnia and that is, but what I've picked for that is Darkest Night of the Soul from Om Fragrances, which is kind of what the fragrance is about. It's them nights awake, isn't it? It's that feeling, it's that darkness that envelops you and kind of can suffocate you in that. But sometimes it's maybe where you get a chance to breathe. Maybe you figure some things out. It's not healthy and that, and eventually you get so exhausted you drop off. But Darkest Night of the Soul is kind of, it's a weird one. It's a hard one to describe. It's kind of like a dark chocolatey oody one, but there's also touches of like bizarrely cheese, and there's some animalic kind of touches to it, civet and castoreum and that, which gives it a kind of warm fuzziness, but also this kind of sense of danger. I think these kind of darker, more animalic notes and unusual notes, it gives you this feeling of something's not quite right, something, that kind of panic survival mode kind of thing. And I think obviously that goes very nicely with the insomnia, doesn't it, really? So yeah, for insomnia's Darkest Night of the Soul from Om. Next we have a kind of isolation, and that kind of leads to this kind of manic, well, I'll go so far as manic, but this kind of insane, this insanity kind of takes over you, where you're kind of just unable to think straight. Do you know what I mean? You because you're not talking to anyone or interacting with anyone or going anywhere, you start to go stir crazy, don't you? Everything's amplified up a million times, and you're starting to just really drown in it all and suffocate, and there's no peace. Your mind is splitting, isn't it? And all the things are coming together at once: the paranoia, the panic, the depression, the kind of crushing feeling, the sadness, and all of that. And what I've picked for that is Amouage Myths. And Myths, I've picked this particularly because, yes, there's a beautiful kind of irisy silverness in there, a floral thing, and this can be like your days to suffer through depression. You don't have to be sad, nothing has to be going wrong, it just comes and gets you. But underneath all the kind of the beautiful notes, the chrysanthemum, which represents death in some parts of the world, I suppose, in the beginning, and that, and the elemi, the kind of brightness, is this burning fire. At first it's very much like a fire and big pluming smoke, and then as it develops and develops, it's kind of simmering embers and ash. It's like what's happening to your mind, isn't it? Your mind's burning, and it just keeps burning and burning, and then you're kind of exhausted with it. You exhaust yourself, don't you, eventually, and it's just smouldering ashes of how you feel. You feel like you've got none of yourself left in that. So that's why I've picked that one. I think it goes quite well with the kind of isolation and insanity. Amouage Myth. Yeah, then next up comes the numbness, which could either be the best or the worst part of all of this, I suppose. It depends how you look at it. But it's where everything, you stop feeling. Nothing hurts, nothing feels good. You don't feel happy, you don't feel sad, you just feel and you're kind of spaced out from everything. The world kind of passes you by, and this is probably the one I'd say we kind of can stay in the longest. Sometimes medication can kind of do that to you. To a point it helps you cope. It's your mind's way of, if you're switched off, it's protecting you, I suppose, but it is quite awful. You don't really feel like it's getting sunny now, because it's quite early in the morning and the sun's starting to come out, but you wouldn't notice that, you wouldn't kind of feel it, and it's quite awful. And what I've gone for that is Gris Dior from Dior, obviously. I often say this is like roses growing by a river, and that kind of soft musky sweetness kind of travelling along the wind with a lovely kind of patchouli, and it's kind of dry, but also the fact is it's not like a particularly strong in your face one. It can be sort of seen as like a memory of something, and it is quite melancholy and quite beautiful, but you don't really, it doesn't set your heart racing or anything. It's just lovely. But I suppose the thing with Gris Dior is there something missing, but I'm not saying that in a negative way. It just doesn't have the absolute oof. You can appreciate it's beautiful, and it is, but it doesn't set your heart racing and stuff, and I think that kind of represents this kind of numbness in it all. So that's Gris Dior from Dior. Next is the light, where the light's starting to shine through. You're starting to see an end to it all. You're starting to kind of understand that maybe you're getting to the other side of it, and maybe things will start to look a bit brighter and a bit better. And this is kind of, again, can be a long one, but having some positivity, some feeling, something good. And I've picked Viole Nere from Fusciuni for that. Now this is because ultimately this is like an ode to spring, if you like, and the beauty of spring. And it starts off with this really cold, dry, barren orris, like a frozen earth and that. And then slowly you get the greenness comes through, and the kind of sweetness of the violet flowers and that kind of comes through more and more, and the kind of the violet leaf greenness and all of that, and the muskiness starts to grow, and eventually you get this like sweet, almost boozy, fruity, happy kind of violet, which obviously, you know, if you can appreciate the sweeter things and the beautiful floral flowers and stuff, means you're pushing into spring, you're getting out of it. There's a way out of this, and I think it just kind of goes best with that kind of the light, the you know, the distant light, but the light. Fusciuni's Viole, Nere. And then finally you get to the it's okay. I mean, sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter if you're going through all this, you still feel moments of happiness. Everyone does. It's because you're depressed doesn't mean you're constantly crying and what have you. I think people really understand what it is. It's your mind. It's chemical imbalance and all of that, isn't it? It isn't necessarily because of tragedy or grieving or anything like that. It can be from past trauma, but whatever. There will be them days and them times, and hopefully a long period of time where it's just okay. It's not great, it's not perfect, but after you've been through all things like that, that feeling of it's alright, it's not the worst day. The days could be shitter, that kind of feeling. That's where we're at here. And what I've picked for that is number 22 from Chanel, and this one is a kind of, it's an airy, beautiful, pretty, fresh, happy version of number 5, if you like. It's got the sparkles of the citrus. It's a little bit fizzy and bubbly from the aldehydes. The florals, the lovely lily of the valley and stuff are quite calming and pretty. And all of that together, just, it is there, isn't it? It's okay. I mean, it's, the fragrance itself is not a banger. It's not someone who's going to wow someone or is going to think, oh, this is the greatest fragrance ever. But it's just got that nice, beautiful, pretty feel about it, and everything being okay is good in that stage. So yeah, for it's okay is Chanel's number 22. So yeah, that's it. I appreciate it's quite dark, but I suppose when I'm feeling, when you start to get swamped and overwhelmed, you know me, I like to walk and I like to talk and lose myself in things, and this just was a perfect moment. I'm okay, I am okay, but you know, you have your ups and downs and stuff, and like I say, I'm struggling to sleep. A lot of stress on at the moment, bit of upheaval in life, which is nothing negative or bad. It's just sometimes it can make you feel not great, can't it? So, you know, I've just made a video out of it. To anyone out there who might be feeling these things, there is always light. Things do get less shit. If that's the best, then that's the best, isn't it? There is help out there and stuff. It's not easy to get, but don't beat yourself up. You're not the only person and stuff. And whatever these right-wing nut jobs who are emotionally retarded say, just ignore them. You know, there's nothing demasculating or anything else about feeling depressed or being depressed. Again, if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. But if it's something more than that and it's going on and on, go see your doctor. Again, I'm not a counsellor or whatever, but sometimes medication can help, sometimes counselling can help, sometimes just doing things like this. Talk to people, they'll listen. You know the right people. So yeah, that's the end of it. What would you wear if you're feeling depressed? What's your kind of comfort anchor fragrance? Where do you go in your mind when you're struggling and that? And what fragrance takes you there? Right folks, thanks, bye.